Speaker.
Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, the member that's just resumed his seat has said that today is a sad day for this Parliament. Well, actually, Mr Speaker, every single day is a sad day if you're a member of the Labour opposition. And if we look back at last Thursday, it's a classic example of when we've heard a speech from the leader of the Labour Party. It was meant to be the dawning of a new day or the dawning of a new New Zealand. Perhaps actually he should have renamed it the dawning of a new Finland, because actually that's what he spoke about. And Mr Speaker, I wanted to just take another little glimpse at the connections of Labour and Finland. And actually look back at something that was in the Listener in 1985, where the comparisons where Roger Douglas was talking about the use of Rogernomics in Finland. Actually, it was the birth of the expression of Rogernomics. And unfortunately, what we saw back then, and it's possibly something that the current leader is wanting to follow, is Douglas was relying perhaps on the fact that they made these reforms but did not bother to check to see if those reforms got the outcomes that they were expecting. And as we've heard from Jerry Brownlee today, sad to say, actually New Zealand is doing far better in many, many areas than Finland. So it's really unfortunate that the leader of the Labour Party also hasn't bothered to do his homework and check his facts, that actually any of these reforms will lead to anything. And harking back also to the Labour Party, 9 years, Helen Clark referred to this cabinet manual that the former Speaker referred to as only a guide. Only a guide. And the member that resumed his seat prior to me, you'd think this was the holy grail, that this would be absolutely everything, but unfortunately their leader for 9 years referred to it as only a guide. So, Mr Speaker, I actually want to focus on two key areas in the limited time that I have, and one of them is the work that has been started that actually probably of any of the issue that my constituents bring into my electorate office is the one that they are hanging out for, and that is reform of local government. Because the complaint that they have, Mr Speaker, they are complaining about their rates over and over and over again. So we have local government that is actually not living within their means, and interesting to say actually that the Dominion Post has said in their opinion that councils have shown a disturbing lack of appreciation of the circumstances faced by their communities. So this is actually what's important. If we look at what's important to our constituents, to the people of New Zealand, they are tightening their belts on a daily basis. And what are we doing with this reform? Reform simply saying to local government, actually, you need to do the same. You need to tighten the belt. And it's interesting that local government New Zealand, they have come out and said that they support them in principle, and that's why this work, Mr Speaker, is so important. It's refocusing the purpose of local government, introducing fiscal responsibility, that's something that the government here, central government, has to operate within, strengthening council governance and also streamlining council reorganisation. It's about making sure that the rates that locals pay every single day, that they are accountable, that they are manageable and that they are not excessive. And if they have gone up 7.6% when CPI has only increased 3%, something is going on. So that's what we are looking at, Mr Speaker. 7% every year is excessive, and we've got to do something about that and get on top of that particular trend. The other thing, Mr Speaker, that I do want to touch on, that I'm enormously proud of the Prime Minister announcing last week, is these targets. And I think there's some targets in particular that I think it's worth bringing to the attention of the House, and that's around the support that this government is doing around vulnerable children. And one of the things that I've spoken about a lot in this House and in my community is the need to increase participation in early childhood education. That is the one thing that I don't think there would be any disagreement in this House, is that the first 5 years of a child's life are vital, and getting the best start possible in education is the one thing we should all agree to.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, today we learned that the number of New Zealand